And as our tech team is able to do that, I want to give you all a very warm welcome to our Underwater Chats Coaching Edition, which I'm super excited for. We created this initiative a couple years ago, and it's just such a pleasure to hear from our coaches who have been doing such an amazing job creating safe and high performance environments for our athletes. So it's just super cool to get to hear their stories. They're all really accomplished individuals. Some are, ex-athletes and really successful ones, and some are just incredible at what they do, all of them. So thank you so much for being here with us today. This session is going to be in English, so if you wish to listen to it in Spanish, please click the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen. Esta sesión va a ser en inglés, así que si quiere escucharla en español, por favor oprima el botón de interpretación en la parte inferior de su pantalla. So with that, we are ready to get started. We have our amazing panel today, so I want to start introducing each of them. We have the distinct pleasure to have Fernando Canales as our official moderator for this session. Fernando was the pioneer alongside this vision that we had a couple years ago to start these underwater chats for coaches. So thank you, Fernando, for
You.
that and for that vision. Fernando, a three-time Olympian, 13-time Big Ten champion, four-time All-American, Puerto Rico Hall of Fame inductee, and prominent coach. So we're in for a treat. Then let me introduce our panel, who are also really incredible individuals. We have Mark Schubert, a renowned swim coach with a philosophy emphasizing conflict resolution, team building, and strength conditioning, fostering a positive environment for swimmer development. Dave Thomas, a sports development consultant, recognized coach and recipient of honors recognizing his significant impact on the sport. Fernando Pocenti, a prominent national team coach from Brazil, passionate educator and recipient of multiple excellence in coaching awards. Anastasia Petrenko, a PhD and certified World Aquatics artistic swimming judge, technical controller, and head coach. And last but definitely not least, Natalie Benson, a two-time Olympic medalist, three-time NCAA champion, USA Water Polo Hall of Fame inductee, and four-time GCC Coach of the Year. So we are in for an absolute treat to have a conversation with the best of the best who are just so passionate about the sport and so willing to give back. So we thank all of you for your incredible contributions. And Fernando, with that, the screen is all yours for the moderation for the panel. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? I just realized Arizona is the only state that does not change the time, so I was ready an hour ago. And I hope everybody's doing well. First of all, can you hear me properly? Yes? No? Well, I'm super excited to moderate this underwater chats for many reasons. Some things you may not know about me. I coach water polo at the collegiate level at University of California, Santa Cruz, and I coach diving at the collegiate level. I was certified U.S. diving coach and water polo coach. So I have a passion for aquatics. In addition to Rose Cody and my coach back when I was a little kid in Puerto Rico, Rose Cody had us learning artistic swimming way back when. It was part of our training. Our coach made sure boys and ladies, we were 10, 11 years old. He made sure we did diving and that we did um, uh, water polo, all the disciplines. So aside from that, Natalie, Fernando, yo Moreno, Brasil, Fernando, Moreno, Rio. Eh,
Live here
Sono
in
molto
Rio.
amico di Madruga, Ricardo Prado, eh, you know, Giovanna Moreira, Vera Mossa, a jogadora de vôlei. É um prazer trabalhar com você hoje. Mark Schubert, I've known you since I was a little kid. I can't tell you, we have had so many conversations over the years. Just love your philosophies. So many of my teammates and friends have trained with you, and I have the utmost respect um, to our whole life. We're good friends. Natalie, Betsy Armstrong. I coach at the University of Michigan. I'm very good friends with the Steffens family, Peggy, Kaki, Jessica, and also Maggie, of course. And Peggy gave me her ticket to the Olympic final in tennis, and that was the first time ever Puerto Rico won a gold medal in the Olympics. So Peggy Steffens, Thank you so much. The Steffens family. I played water polo with Kaki when I was 10 and unders. And I remember when he went to Berkeley. So aside from that, Dave Thomas, I like as the most knowledgeable person. It's just such an honor to be with all of you here today. Unfortunately, Mona cannot be a part of it. Dave and I go way back. I don't think you even had a beard when I first met you, Dave. I might have had a small one, but you've done everything: officiating, coaching at every level, Paralympics. You're so amazing, right? And Anastasia, I have a love for artistic swimming because of Rose Cuddy, and I'm just so excited to be here and sharing with you. I last minute sent you the questions I have for you. I'm gonna go Natalie first, Fernando second, Mark third, Anastasia fourth, and Dave fifth. I have some questions. Just want to go over what can we do about healthier, stronger, better athletes. Well, the first question I have for you, and Natalie, if you be the first one to answer, what are your three favorite resources available at your local level for assisting your athletes in maintaining a healthier physical, mental, and spiritual life?
I think one of the things that at the collegiate level we've really strived to do is provide mental health services outside of athletics for our student athletes. Having access to that and having the ability to talk openly about mental health has been really great. I think a lot of us grew up in a generation where it wasn't understood, it wasn't spoken about. It was just, toughen up and kind of deal with it. And now you could have external problems that you may have compartmentalized and put away that are affecting the way you play, that are affecting the way you live your life. And so having the opportunity to speak with a professional about that is so great for these young people. So they know that they're not alone. They know that they have resources available to them. So I think that that's one thing that's been really exceptional for us is having access to professionals who can help these young people go through and manage the things that they're dealing with right now. Because as we all know, coaching has turned into less X's and O's and more relationships and administrative work. And sometimes, I joke that I'm kind of the family psychologist. I have a dermatologist brother and an attorney brother, and I get to be the family psychologist, but I have no degree in those things. And I think we all feel the same way where we want to help our people, we want to help our athletes, but we may not be fully equipped to do those things. And so having access to true professionals has been really, really wonderful. So those are the reasons. That's a huge resource for us. Obviously, health-wise, making sure that we're training them properly, making sure that we're putting them in position to be successful, that we're not overtraining them, that we're not, going at attacking the problem the wrong way. I think that kind of thing is really important. So having conversations like this and learning from other professionals on what best practices are really, really wonderful resources for us.
Fantastic. I really appreciate your answer. Also, if you see Tom Milich at any time, I don't know if he still goes by Fresno or not, but we've been friends for a long, long time, and I hold a very dear place in my heart for him. Thank you for that answer. I appreciate it. Fernando, what are your three favorite resources available at your local level for assisting your athletes in maintaining healthier physical, mental, and spiritual life?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I would like to share with you, one very, very nice experience. I completely agree with Natalie. We here in the Olympic Committee, we know that we have the resources of the people who are really prepared to do that, like psychologists and people who take a space and a time to help athletes and all the community with mental health. But the thing I want to share is sometimes we try to help them, and in the end, we do our best, but we don't know if we are being efficient enough. To achieve that goal or to touch, the athlete in terms of helping really. And the thing is that the feedback that I received once, and it was so nice because some of the athletes they were in the championship, and they were asked about that. So what do you do to improve your day-by-day mental health life, because it's something that you have to do every single day. I mean, you have to ask yourself if you are in a good moment, in align with your, all the things that is happening in your life. And one of the athletes, she answered the question saying, well, the best thing is a chair. And it was funny, well, why a chair? I not even realize that coaching for 25 years, I have my own chair in front in the pool deck, but I leave another chair empty close to me, because if someone comes, like I don't know, to visit the training session or to stay with us or to talk for a while, the chair is there. But the thing is, after the sessions, I stay there for 10, 15 minutes. And in the beginning, nothing happens. But after some period working together, some athletes start to sit and just talk. Just knowing there is a place to listen, someone to listen to you. I'm not feeling, encouraged enough to try to be the best person to give them the solution, but I can just listen to them with taking care of feeling them, to making them feel listening. And it's so important for them that I want to share that experience. They made a painting for me, like in the pool deck, with the empty chair. So that empty chair starts to making them confident enough to start to talk about their problems, because I'm not judging, I'm not the psychologist, but I'm there for them to listen. So sometimes coaches just have to understand the powerful thing that we have in being able to listen to their feedbacks or their things that they want to share from their lives. This is for me was a nice surprise and a nice thing that I want to share about this. Just be there 15, 20 minutes more after the session. If they want to come, they come. If they want to go home, okay. So you are there for them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that great answer. Coach Schubert, you're third on my list. Your 3 favorite resources available at your local level to assist your athletes in maintaining healthier physical, mental, and spiritual life.
We are trying to get Mark from the waiting room, so you can go on to the next coach and we'll get back to Mark.
Okay. Well, then, Anastasia, welcome this morning. I believe you've heard the question. If you need me to repeat it. All right.
I think it's fine. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for invitation. It's an honor to be here and continue what Fernando said, that the trust of the swimmers is the key. And what Natalie said, the psychological, mental health side is very, very important. And I'm very grateful and I'm very lucky to work in team with specialists, because like nutritionists, like sports psychologists, and for example, right now we prepare for Canada Games, and I work with teenagers, and they're so sensitive in this age. And right now, when social media is so open, to everyone, and they want to hang out with their friends, and it's very important to keep them in sport, and it's very important to explain why they are here, what they are doing, and the trust between coach and swimmers is the key, because I also know sports psychologists, and the questions that arise, they can speak with professional. But on the deck, this time, when we are like a family, of course, with professional boundaries, it's very important. So I know, for example, I prepared questionnaire for them. So if they don't want to speak, they can write down. So I always check how they are doing. Is there anything they want to change? So of course, I have plans, for example, for the training, but I need to know how do they feel. I need to know it, because if like I will push them, it will like they will burn out. We just start the season, right? So I think yes, my favorite 3 things that we are working with specialists and we have trust with swimmers.
Super, fantastic. How's Canada?
Amazing. I love
Yeah.
it so much. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful to be here. Thank you.
I love it. I swam for Team Camon in Montreal when I was a young athlete, and my son was born in Winnipeg. So I have a lot of love for Canada over the years and worked with so many fabulous coaches there. So really, really exciting to have you here. All right, Dave, please
All right.
share your
Well,
wisdom.
yeah, well, currently I'm coaching age group swimmers. So, and I think that health of the athlete mentally begins at that age because they've got so many different things coming at them from various sources. So, as Fernando stated, not only do I spend time after practice, 15 to 30 minutes, I'm also there 30 minutes before practice. And they know that I'm going to ask them how their day was, what's going on, what's happening. And you can learn so much about how to inspire your athletes and work with them based on the things that you hear them say and interact with them as they go by on the deck from other groups. And pretty soon they all know that you're a coach that they can talk to, they can unload some of their concerns and worries about. And as a child, that's one of the most important things because sometimes they're very forgotten. They're not heard, they're not seen. And the other thing I do is get down on their level. Being 6'4" and talking to someone 3'2" is pretty intimidating. So I try to get down on their level to talk to them. I also try to correspond with their parents quite a bit just to make sure that they know I'm approachable and that they can share their concerns with me. And that happens a lot. I also encourage them to, be involved in their spiritual side, whatever that may be, and not be afraid of it, not be intimidated by it, and not be bullied that it's not something they should be doing in our world today. And so, those are some of the local resources. And if it escalates beyond that, I can go to USA Swimming and look at the resources that they have from the medical side that might be able to do a better job.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave, for that answer. Appreciate it greatly. I'm gonna go back to Natalie. What are your favorite team building tools you use at the beginning of the season or throughout the season? Just to make a note, I can't remember a more exciting water polo tournament than what just happened in Paris, both at the men's level, the women's level. Aside from the women having a couple teams less than the men and all the parity talk there is, it was so amazing. 1 through 8, I don't know. There was just so many fabulous games that came down to the end of the deal. But for Team USA, it was a complicated tournament for everybody, right? So, what type of team building tools do you use? Maybe at the beginning, throughout the season, or during an NCAA tournament? Something that brings them back together.
Right. I think team building and building culture is tricky if you really get to it, but it has to be something that's done every day. It has to be something that is an active part of your practice daily. So we can't just have like one team building activity, once a month, or hey, we had our requisite team building activity, so we did it, we checked that box, now let's practice. How can we build what we value into the daily structure of our training, of our competition? And so something that we've done is been really intentional with building groups. So like, for example, if people are roommates, if people are really, really close-knit friends, we try to mix up the groups a little bit. And it's pretty easy at the beginning of the season. It's like, all right, returners, let's make sure we're integrating with the freshmen and getting the newer girls with the older girls so you can kind of mentor them through some of the skill work. You can be a little bit of an in-the-water coach. You're helping them because you know the language, the terminology that we use for our skill work. So if I say something that maybe they don't understand, you're there in the water with them and you can help them. So I think that that's definitely an act of cohesion for them, is that, the freshman comes in, they don't really know what's going on. The older athlete can come in and say, hey, I got you. I'm going to help you out, right? So some kind of daily thing like that it's really simple, but it's really powerful because now they're talking to each other. They're learning how to trust each other. The older ones are learning how to speak in a patient and poised way to their younger teammates. And then the younger teammates feel a little bit more empowered with what they're doing. Another thing that's fun is, it's kind of make them go on like little dates in a way, like little outings with each other. And so we pair them up in specific pairs or groups of three, and they have to make plans outside of training. It can't be going to the locker room or walking to and from training or going to class or anything like that. They have to set intentional time aside for their teammate and talk about anything other than water polo. So, what's their family like? How many pets do they have? How many siblings do they have? Tell me about your house where you grew up. What do you like to do in your free time? That all the stuff, right? And so, like, the more you get to know the person, maybe the more empathetic you can be to them in moments of stress, right? Maybe they can come to you with something that they're struggling with, like if again a newcomer or something's happening at home, they maybe don't feel like they want to talk to me about it or our coaching staff, or they just want to kind of get it off their chest. They know they also have one of their teammates that they can go to help them kind of relieve some of that pressure on them. So I think just those kind of really intentional meeting times of like how do you really get to know each other is really really powerful, because then when you're in the trenches with each other, you're going to be willing to fight for each other. So when you're chasing back on the counter attack, or somebody goes rogue on 5-on-6, you're going to cover her, you're going to take care of her, you're going to maybe take the exclusion for her, because she's your teammate, she's your friend, and you would do that for her because you know her a little bit better. So I think building that environment of like open communication, working towards some cohesion, building trust, I think that's really what culture is. And so that's, again, it has to be like a daily habit of intentionally interacting with each other. So we have a couple like fun activities that we do, but I wouldn't say that. I think they can be pretty silly. They don't have to be really hardcore. Like the girls did like a hear me out cake the other day, like these TikTok trends, we have one girl
Yes.
who's all about TikTok. And so but it's fun. And like and they want us to participate, which I think is fun. Like some people joke with me about like all the TikToks we're in. I'm like, well, they asked me to do it and I just do what they tell me to do. And it's fun and it's interactive. And again, it's like what Coach Dave said, you're literally getting on their level, but then you also can metaphorically get on their level too, where you meet them where they are, and this is the generation they're in. And so why can't we just have a little bit of fun while we work pretty hard?
Amazing. And now more than ever, the athletes have so many tools and they're evolving emotionally during the 4 years of college. I find at a more rapid pace than when I was, well, I coached college up until 10 years ago, but just staying in touch with everybody, I find even after 2020, how much more connected some of the athletes are. And some of the athletes that are in need are more willing to come out and share their experience on their needs. So thank you for your input. I appreciate it greatly. Fernando, how about you? Team building tools that you use throughout the season, at the beginning of the season, during a competition, something that really brings your team together, that makes sense for you.
Well, it's as Natalie says, it's something that we have to do, daily, definitely, like to make them comfortable, to understand that we are doing that for them. So my tool was to start to make them understand that, yeah, we are doing something really, with a lot of responsibility. So they come all over the country to have an opportunity to use the only facility that we have in terms of a high performance center here in Rio, one of the legacy that we have from Olympics. But during the stage, we have athletes coming for stage. I like to make them understand that. I'll give you an example. Yes, punctuality is something that shows respect for everybody. So we have to start at certain moment our training session to respect all the times of the center and the high performance center. But why not make life a little bit easier and give them like 10-15 minutes prior to the training session. For every day, one of them brings something that they saw, maybe in TikTok, maybe in Instagram, or maybe about the sport. We have also triathlon athletes coming for a period season here, so they bring that perspective of their sport, and it's nice how they interact themselves and start to be not exactly as a family, but as a team. So I give them like, okay, who's gonna be the next Monday? So tomorrow is gonna be. It's funny because it's Natalie. Being honest, it's the same name as you, Natalie. I have a Natalie in my group, 200 AM swimmer, and she will be the Monday girl to bring something for the group, like an information or something funny or something to share with them that catch her attention. And once a month, we try. We are in Rio is not as a safety place as I would like to be. We all know our problems here in terms of security, but once a month we try to go have dinner together. All the team going, and every month there's one who's going to choose the restaurant and make the others understand what is the plate or the food that they eat more or they like more. So those two, I think, make them understand that we are more just coaches and athletes looking for performance. We try to make their lives in community, because when I said about the security is because we are like inside our buildings, closed. So when we have the moment to get out of our homes and be together and share those experiences, it's the most pleasure one in my opinion. And again, 10 minutes, 15 minutes more in the beginning of the session is not going to cost you like, the meters that's is so important for them to have that time.
Super. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate that. Anastasia, your turn. We were wondering here about your favorite team building tools. Can you share some experience?
Yes, thank you so much for this question. I love this question because our sport is mainly for groups of people, right? For the group. So team building is the key in this process if you want to keep the team together throughout the season. So, for example, what we did for actually 2 days ago. Right now, it's time to do swimsuits for competition. For example, I prepare design, show them to the girls, and I give them opportunity, like we have extra time on Saturday, to draw. Like I prepare for them like a draft, and they can draw how they see swimsuit. So in the end, we collect all the swimsuits and produce the one model that everyone likes. Or, for example, Halloween games. Not it's optional practice, but those who are at practice, we make sure we prepare something special, and they usually tell you, "Oh, can we go please on the slides?" I'm like, "Okay, this will be a Halloween treat." Or they have so-called jewel parties. When the swimsuits are ready, they all meet, all the team, and they start putting on the glue the gems, and they call it jewelry party. Or we have, for example, during practice, I make sure that each member feels valuable and motivated to contribute to success of the team. Right? I'm not allowed to forget anyone. So everyone needs to be mentioned in a good way, so they do not have outsiders. And some children are better in one thing, some in other, and I need to make sure as coach that we highlight those and everyone feel needed, right? And for example, when we got choreography camp, I show them Olympic Games, and the girls see the level and they can discuss, they can share their opinions, positive, negative, and it's so interesting. And I think the best way, my favorite tool is games. Like if I see that they are going down, I can give them a ball, and they do kind of water polo, but more kinder. We have set of rules not to drown people, and it's so cool because you can see from the side how their character opens when they play games. You can see their characters there, they build strategies. And it's important to make sure in the beginning of the season to know who their friends are, but it's a like anonymous questionnaire. And of course, we have meeting of expectations and the goals for the year, like what I expect from them, like rules, what I need from you. And they told me what they are expecting from this season, because it might appear that the goals of few people in the team are completely different from the other team. For example, 8 girls from 10 wants to go to summer games, 2 just want to do nationals. And you need to know this, right? Yeah, so I think the games is the best thing that helps them to work together.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Anastasia. Dave, same question. How about you? Team building.
We do it in a lot of different ways, and I've had to move into boys lanes and girls lanes with age groupers because that builds their little community, and we encourage that. 2 years ago, I had 8 boys that created their own book club, and so that created a whole nother thing. And pretty soon, I had another group that was doing video games outside of practice. The unfortunate thing is they were talking about all the cheat codes during practice. But I also give them a little bit of time to build in between sets to communicate with each other and build those relationships. And then when they start to get comfortable, I move them all around so they can start to learn new people. We also do some social kick where they have to kick and talk to somebody different than what they normally talk to get to learn it. Like Natalie, I've been in a few TikToks because for some reason they want pictures of me on their TikTok. I can't figure out why yet, but we do that. When I was coaching college, I allowed the athletes to pick a day, and that was their day to play the music, kind of like what Fernando does. You give them a day, and that's their day. I just wanted to make sure the music was safe. When I was a college coach, we also used to go out and try to eat we do breakfast together after morning workout. And that was a great team building experience. And unfortunately, Fernando, if I was in Rio, I'd want to go to Porcal, but I understand it's no more. But one of my favorite restaurants to go to. But we try to find different ways. When we do our goal setting, we have a potluck where everybody brings their favorite dish, and we share food, and then we sit down and talk about their goals. And that, they get to talk about why it's their favorite dish, and then we move into the seriousness. So a variety of different ways to try to get them to interact with each other and build their community, because certainly swimming has to be, no matter which aquatic venue it is, it has to be social because it's so hard. And if they don't have that social group to be a part of, then it makes it difficult to do the work that we ask them to do. So
Excellent.
There you go, Fernando.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Is Coach Schubert available? Was he able to join us or not yet? Coach Schubert? Not yet. Okay, well, we'll move on to the next question. And again, for Natalie, this one has to do more with the Olympic Committee and the Federation. What medical, psychological, physiotherapy, or education services is your Olympic Committee or Federation providing you with to achieve your goals of developing healthier, fitter athletes?
That's a great question. I don't really know the answer to it. Right, sincerely, I don't know the answer. I think
Okay.
that from an athlete's point of view, I think we could do a much better job on the back end of competition. You spend so much time, climbing the hill, 4 years of a quad, climbing the hill, getting ready for an Olympic Games, and all the things we're talking about of spending time with our teammates and building relationships and working hard towards a common goal and all the things we want as coaches for our athletes. And then once the games are over, you're climbing, and then you step foot off the sheer face of a cliff and it is no more. And so there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of issues with that. And I think that we need to do a much better job as a federation, not just putting ourselves in a position of preparing for the games and then being successful at the games and then nothing afterwards. I think that that could definitely be an area of improvement for the American system in general. Because again, we're about medal counts and things like that, and not so much about, the athletes that earn the medals and what we're actually going through. So I think that that's something that could be a point of emphasis, that could be a much more intentional thing by all federations within sport to kind of help athletes transition from being competitive athletes back into kind of like being a normal person
Having
and
ha-
kind of
having
managing
coached,
that.
having coached at the university level, I know you have a lot of resources. That's why I included that
Mhm.
question in there, because you have local resources within your university, and sometimes we're so caught up in the NCAA program, sometimes we're not touching base with the federation or the Olympic Committee as much as in other countries, right? So that's why I was bringing that up. And for me, a big part of water polo is so physical. There are a lot of injuries, head injuries, all kinds of issues can arise over a long career and post your competitive years. What is the federation doing to assist those athletes that may have some concussion issues or other types of injuries that were acquired during their participation with the national team, etc. So that's kind of where I was heading with that. And it
Right.
would be good. Yeah, I find, a post-Olympic for this year, the women's team, what kind of resources were there? It seems like they were busy right away just from all the posts I saw, but there are a lot of needs and very specific needs. Every individual has a specific need. So
Right. And I think just ultimately, yes, we move on and we try to move on with our lives, but I don't know if anybody's really dealt
mhm,
with some of the things that have happened from playing,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Just mentally.
exactly. Well,
And
that
and
would be a
having and
good thing.
almost being kind of like not forced, but like really heavily encouraged
Yeah.
into participating in some post competition
Absolutely. Yeah. Kind of like
scenarios.
a debrief.
Exactly.
At least an assistance on the way out the door before you step back home and go back to your regular life, whatever that life may be. Everybody have different challenges and advantages in their own personal lives. So thank you so much for your answer. Fernando, same kind of question for you. Earlier I mentioned local, what you're doing at your club or your regional or municipal area where you live, but from the Olympic Committee or from CBDA, what type of resources are they helping you with now?
Well, I think most of federations, they used to say that it's a huge number of athletes, so they cannot maybe prepare or help them, as Natalie said. But from my perspective, I I had a very nice period doing a course of the IOC in mental health for elite athletes, and it's something that they provide for the Olympic Committee. But most of coaches, they don't know how to access those knowledges that's gonna help you, at least help them, put them in some direction, or giving them tools. So the thing is, I start the process here asking the Olympic Committee why we don't have a um, like a program for coaches to receive more knowledge, not only about their own sport or their own physiological part or program part. So I start to ask them, not only for me, but give you an example. We have today a group of coaches from gymnastics, from box, from many different sports that ask the Olympic Committee to give us the opportunity to do those courses, online courses that we have, to receive more knowledge from them. So what brings me this, it's a sense of responsibility in being a coach nowadays. One of the things that we learned from that course is that after the period, after they move from their regular lives. Maybe 60 to 65% of athletes they have a kind of disorder caused by the sport. So we are responsible for that also. So this is my point of view, like trying to be as much prepared as I can to help them to lead with that transition moment with that part. And it doesn't come naturally from Olympic committees or federations. Maybe coaches have to, ask them, listen, we want we want to be better coaches in that area also. So please do your part, help me to receive that kind of knowledge. That's it.
Thank you so much, Fernando. Appreciate you. Anastasia, same type of question. How is the Olympic Committee or the Canadian Aquatic Swimming Association assisting you in any of these type of psychological, medical, physiotherapy, or educational services?
Oh, thank you so much for the question. We got very nice, very interesting, very fruitful conference in the end of the September, where we got a session with Andrea, who works, and as I know, she's one of the founders of Inclusion Incorporated. And we got like set of materials there with me. And it was done by support of the Canadian Olympic Committee and Canada Artistic Swimming. They work together, as I understand. And we got set of documents where it is written the coaches' resources, like establishing boundaries, the coach and club administration resources. So where it is written like interests, athlete resources, and club administrative resources. So about the boundaries, about all the aspects that we need to be aware of, what like guys never do that, like it's inappropriate. So as a coach who attend the session, I find out many new things. And as coach, I feel more protected because what I like actually about the Canada here, people think and care about. I can speak only about Canada, okay? Because I've never been in, other grand federations and working there. But I can speak about Canada, that here people respect each other, and I feel protected. Not only athletes are protected by law and other people, but as coach, I feel safe and protected, and I know my rights, and I know what is absolutely inappropriate. For example, that you have to set up boundaries with parents. They can't call you 11 p.m. and start screaming at you. Like, of course, we are aware, but I'm happy that we have this amount of resources. And yes, I think that's my fresh example.
Fabulous. Yeah. So fantastic. I appreciate your answer very much. Dave, please. And I know you've been, USA Swimming inside out, and you were living out there in Colorado, so very close to the Olympic Committee and Paralympic Committee. If you would share your amazing knowledge, please.
Well, yeah, I probably have an unfair advantage than most coaches that I actually worked on the Olympic Training Center grounds for almost 20 years. And I understand all the resources that we had at USA Swimming. I understood all the resources that were available through the Olympic Committee. And unfortunately, the information is there, the help is there, accessing it is the problem, and knowing that it's there to be used. And, like I spent a good deal of time with the sports psychologists at the USOC, and robbing, stealing, taking everything that they had so that I could use it with my own athletes. And then over my years, I would hand that stuff out when coaches said they needed stuff, because I knew where it was. And, they have stuff that's posted, but, as coaches, we are so overcome with all the things that we have to do each day, from being, the psychologist, the travel agent, the coach, the parent, the list goes on, that accessing some of those resources are very tough. Which is, as you know, Fernando, why I started the coaches newsletter, 2 decades ago, and was
Yeah.
sending out stuff that I found every week to help coaches get, here's a little piece that you can have to help you. But unfortunately, that's gone away. And I think if coaches take the time to see what their federations have, not only their own federation, but the brother and sister organizations within aquatics, now go back and look at all this stuff that Pan Am is putting up for us as coaches. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And then go see what World Aquatics has. The information is out there, and we just have to learn how to access it, which is extremely difficult with our busy schedules. Natalie, you were talking about the exit plan for athletes, which I've talked to numerous swimmers that were going to do their PhD work or their master's work on how to transition into your new life, because everything has been geared and centered around one aspect of your personality, and now it's all done. What do you do next? And we're starting to see all these athletes that have problems. Mark, I wish he was on, was trying to get a person assigned to doing that, and helping our athletes transition to what that next phase is, when he was the national team director at USA Swim. And, there's always obstacles and hurdles that you have to overcome with those things. But it is certainly that needs to be addressed that, even us as coaches, when we get ready to retire, what do we do next? Who are we now? Because everything is focused on being that swimming person, that aquatics person. And how do you transition back to your family? How do you transition to whatever the next part of your life is? And I think that's something that certainly needs to be dedicated research and application to all of us, not just the athletes, but the coaches as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. And, in our seminar today, we're representing Brazil, Canada, USA, in our continent, probably the better funded federations from my understanding.
Mhm.
I have a quick question for Anastasia, and I just wondering, how can the more successful and better funded federations in our continent, such as the ones represented here today, what can we do to assist other Pan Am Aquatic federations in need of resources? How we already do clinics and things like that. I am aware of that, but do you think there's something more innovative we could do?
Well, I think it's great to have session like this one where we can discuss all the matters, and I think as more communication we will have, as better result will be. And the best way is to cooperate and share good experience with other federations. Yeah, I think the best way is communication right
Super.
now.
And some of the continental championships too are an opportunity for other nations to come in contact, perhaps some education opportunities at that time, or even just socials where the coaches can get together and just share experiences, exchange numbers, and perhaps have an open line. Thank you, Anastasia. I know you need to go to another session, so thank you so much for your time. Natalie,
you.
coming back to you, again, I asked about the Olympic Committee. How can we as federations do more to assist other Pan Am Aquatic countries in need of resources? And just brainstorming here, what do you think? So like earlier when I asked about the Olympic Committee, so you're so focused right now, obviously, on NCAA and so on, and you're very much aware of what's going. But just this is more of a brainstorming. There's no real, for me, I when I was secretary treasurer of Pan Am Aquatics, I always encourage everyone to exchange information. There are so many coaches that just, this is my plan, my program, and ego gets in the way. Big egos, I coach in Italy, France, Turkey, US, work with Brazil. The egos can get in the way of a lot of people, and they can blind them. But whether it's St. Lucia or Trinidad or any other country in the Caribbean or South America that is in need of resources, always asking Pan Am Aquatics for resources. How can we reach out? We have so many, coaches, clinics, and nowadays more than ever, the ability to meet just like we're meeting today. So, any thoughts on that?
Right. Well, I think the success of our sport, water polo specifically, depends on other countries playing it and other countries being successful in it. And so if we can, rising tide raises all ships, kind of have that mentality and not gatekeep our information, to your point. Yes, I may have this information, but I think about like how I use, John Urbanchek's method of, the colors and things like that. And it's like there's so many like peer-reviewed articles on training swimmers, and there's not a ton of information out there in regards to water polo and how to properly train a water polo athlete, where you guys have distance and sprint and stroke, and we have all of the above. And so it's like, how do we properly train that in the time that we have, plus, the ball skills and things like that. So I think, yes, I agree with you. Connecting, and even just now on this panel, I'm like, it'd be really cool to reach out to Fernando. It'd be really cool to reach out to Dave. It'd be really great to build that connection across sports and learn from others who've had different experiences that can maybe give me a better perspective on how to approach what I'm doing. And so I agree with you completely, having opportunities to meet and connect with the other coaches, and even if it's like just like a set of questions. So for example, if we go to Pan Am's, Pan Am's are coming up for water polo, right? If there's like some sort of thing for, your not your CEO, but the person who's in charge of kind of like running your daily like national team operations, like
Team manager.
those guys and gals can meet up and collaborate on what they can do to help maybe have a under 14 tournament or an under 16 tournament, and then bringing those pipeline coaches in as well and including them in those conversations. And the great thing about what we have now is we're all on Zoom. Like, we don't have to necessarily meet in person. We can make these connections and set appointments with each other through the internet. So it's not like we have to travel and spend thousands of dollars. Like, we can log on from our living room. So I think that those types of opportunities are huge, and just having open conversations like this are so cool and so helpful.
I'm delighted you mentioned Coach Urbanchek. 2 weeks ago, I was at a celebration of life, and a lot of people don't know that, but Coach John coached, I believe, the women's team in Michigan in the 60s to a national championship in water polo. Did you know that? John was, he's from Hungary, and he came, when the Soviets invaded Hungary, he came to the U.S., went to the University of Michigan, but he coached the women's team at Michigan to a national championship in water polo, and he is genius in water polo. So you mentioning him, he gave me my first job ever 42 years ago at the University of Michigan when he first started as an assistant. I love him like a father. And the more we mention his name for eternity, the longer he will live, in my opinion. So you made my day by mentioning him. And another person who just fabulously in favor of diving, water polo, and swimming, all of which happening at we even have a tremendous artistic swimming team at the University of Michigan too. But you made my day by mentioning John's name, and 1,000 people showed up to the celebration. So I know we're running shorter on time, but Fernando, again, what can we do to assist other countries? And Natalie, thank you so much for everything. And I really mean it. If you see Tom, give him a big hug. Thank you so much. Pete Coutinho, you received that award. He was so good to me when I first coached at Santa Cruz, and also Mountain as Muskowski. And so good to have you here. I admire you tremendously. Oh, Fernando,
this is one thing that I really appreciate and I like to share. I'll give you, in pandemic, we learned how to use that tool, that amazing tool of clinics online. I did a lot of online clinics during pandemic, and also talk with a lot of coaches, like trying to share. But coming from two things that you mentioned, in terms of coaches and ego, and maybe clinics, and during a competition. I don't know in water polo, but in swimming and also in open water, one of the things that I work the most during my career I remember a very, very nice clinic in Chile, here in South America, during the South American age group, South American junior championships. So the Federation of Chile, they asked World Aquatics at that moment for a clinic in open water during the competition. Why? Because all of the coaches were there. Like all of the athletes and coaches, they were there for competitions from the age of 14 to 17-year-old. And the nice thing, I'll give you the nice and the bad thing. The nice thing was we did some classes, like sharing all the knowledge about the preparation, all the things in open water in terms of strategy, races, race pace. And then we moved the day after for the competition, and we saw the athletes competing. So in the end of the race, we can discuss the coaches who were in the clinic, like, oh, what you saw that you learned from yesterday? What do you want to change in your strategy of your athlete to have a better result? So we start to using the knowledge in the practical part. And it was really nice because we divide in 3 days, was the 3 days of the competition. And let me give you another thing that it's completely in accordance what you said. In the last day of the clinic, the coaches come to me and ask me, you're going to talk about mental health, you're going to talk about psychological preparation. Can we bring our athletes to see the clinic? I don't know if it's in the rules or outside the rules. I just phoned the guy that I know in FINA. Gabor is there. So what was not Gabor, was Ignacy probably. And I said, can the athletes watch the clinic for coaches just the last day? And they said, well, if you're feeling comfortable with that, no problem. Say, okay, so bring the athletes and let's do a session or a class for all of you, coaches and athletes. Guess what was fantastic? The kids understand the importance of mental health, the importance of sharing their feelings about the sport. But guess what? The only country who was not attending the clinic at that moment, Brazil. And you know what? The clinic, it was, I put that photo because it's a beautiful photo with all the South American teams like Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, coaches and athletes in the clinic. And the only coach who's not attended was Brazil. And the clinic was in a hotel that they were. So it's just take the elevator and go there. You know, this is something that shows how we have to break those things about ego. What I know is it's my legacy for the others. It's like, okay, I learned this way. Maybe it can work for you. Maybe it's not going to work for you. But give me your opinion. Give me what you're doing. Maybe I can use something from me. And I give you just the last one. 2 years ago, we did it. This clinic in Chile was before pandemic. And after pandemic, we did another clinic in the World Junior Championships of open water in Seychelles, very, very beautiful island. And, all the coaches come to learn in practical how to feed their athletes, because they know they need a stick, they need to feed because it's a safety protocol, but they didn't know the technique. So we share before the competition so they can use during the World Junior. Was an amazing clinic. So what I believe, we have to promote more of those clinics. I would love to participate in a clinic from all of you guys to learn more from you. And I think those clinics, online or in person, could help a lot.
Super. Fantastic, Fernando. Thank you so much. Dave, I know we're coming to the end of this hour, and please, I know all people, you would know, how can our federations that are better funded assist other Pan Aquatics federations?
Well, it's interesting that Fernando just talked about the clinic. I just did a clinic in Puerto Rico where the athletes and the coaches were together. And it was fantastic because the learning occurred across both levels, coach to athlete, athlete to coach. And I think the coaches learned some things from the athletes, and the athletes definitely learned where the coaches are coming from. And then we had the 3 days of competition, which, I'm asking the athletes, what did you use from our conversation? And it was great. It was so great that we were done with the competition by the afternoon. I go to the pool to swim at the lovely Olympic Training Center there in Puerto Rico. And the kids would come down, and all of a sudden would be another impromptu clinic with the athletes. And so it was a great opportunity to share and grow and get them to do that. You know, like you said, it's unfortunate that we didn't have more coaches there. I've
And
been fortunate enough.
why were they not? Was it a scheduling thing that the coaches weren't? This was during the Pan Am Aquatics Championship in August.
Yes, yeah.
They were no more. They weren't able to participate, or the schedule.
There weren't a lot of teams there.
Okay, well,
The teams that were there, but there,
yeah.
would have
Okay,
been great if we could
I
have-
remember that. Thank you so much. Awesome.
It's a junior championships, and I'm sure that's low priority on the budgetary level for most federations. And I understand that. Having
Okay.
worked at a federation, I understand the budgetary constraints quite well. I also traveled for a group here in the U.S. Information Agency, and they would actually provide all sorts of assistance to countries if they asked. And I did 4 or 5 different swimming clinics around the world, and where my goal was, can I educate the athletes and the coaches? And some countries it was yes, some countries it was no. And usually the no was because of egos. I was in
Yeah.
one country, and the coach got up and walked out. He goes, "You don't know what you're talking about. This is ridiculous." And he was their
Wow.
lead coach.
Yeah.
And all the younger coaches were like, "What is he talking about? This is exciting. This is stuff that we don't have." And it wasn't long before he was replaced by younger coaches who were willing to expand their horizons. This was in the 90s, and the guy's like, "The only one that knows anything about swimming is Doc Councilman." I said, "I will agree with you. I've spent time with Doc, but here's where things have gone since Doc." And he just didn't want to hear it because Doc was the answer. And but I think we have to be willing to open up and be willing to share and to get it out to all levels of the coaching world, not just the elite coaches, but can it get down to the entry level coaches, the age group coaches, so that we provide a system that is educationally sound for everybody, and we'll see all of our sports grow exponentially. I know that I've spent a lot of my swimmers that, what? You like playing basketball? You like playing soccer? You like to swim? Why don't you try water polo? It's a great opportunity. Because I too love water polo and coach the little water polo. And one of my former colleges is now playing water polo on a regular basis. And I've fought to get water polo for years. So I'm a big water polo fan. I teach sculling.
Fantastic.
I teach
Yeah.
sculling every year to every athlete on our team that I can, because I think that is so critically important for them to know how to move water the right way. I get my fellow coaches on my own team teaching them how to do breaststroke. Well, that's sculling. I said, well, that's really staying above water. Let's teach them how to move forward, back, left, right, up, down. And we're going to be much more successful when they understand the principles of movement in water. So I think we just have to keep pecking at it one piece at a time. We're like that marble sculptor. One chip at a time, we're getting there, but it's a slow process. And it is exciting. I was excited to be asked to do the clinic in Puerto Rico, and I am fired up about, helping the rest of the Americas get stronger in swimming, because, rising
Yeah,
tide
and
does lift
sometimes-
all ships, and we are together in this against everybody else.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes when we
let's
do
build the
these
Americas.
clinics, sometimes when we do these clinics, the information's out there and people get so busy during the competition, but the ones that benefit the most are the ones who make the effort to participate in the clinic. And I find that mostly it's a very rewarding experience for the clinician, and also opens up tremendous channels for the people interested in learning. And yes, again, to bring back to the ego, I've been fortunate to work with Coach Urbanchik, Coach Bowman, Phelps, that, all these amazing athletes over the years. And Just the ego that I see sometimes coaches get so they block themselves almost from sharing with others. I thought in Turkey when I was national team director, they did not want to share their practices or their programs until we hashed it out. We said, this is the only way forward. There's no other way but sharing, doing the camps together, allowing other people to coach your athlete when they're traveling, etc. So, I look at the question and answers chat, and the one I see is talking about doing more of these clinics. I strongly encourage Panama Aquatics to continue doing that, and I must take a little bit of I'm in the Panama Aquatics swimming committee, and we didn't get that information out for the Junior Pan Ams early enough, and I know for the future we will, and that allows them to plan better for travel. And as far as your clinic, if you're doing a clinic anywhere within my ability to reach you, I'm going to be there. So, Dave, I appreciate all your comments. The same, Natalie, Fernando, Anastasia. I'm grateful for you. Valerie, if there's anything else you would like us to do, I think that this has been it met all my expectations. I was a little nervous because the crew is so special, and I love all the disciplines: diving, water polo, artistic, all of them. So I'm fortunate to be a part of this, and appreciate you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This was such an enlightening conversation, and thank you all for your efforts, because you really are the hope that we all need and deserve for our athletes. It is possible to have great coaches and great environments and positive environments and people out there caring for our athletes. So thank you for leading the way in those efforts, and also inspiring, coaches and athletes alike, right? It's a two-way street. To really have these conversations, have these open spaces. And, we have a couple minutes left, so I actually have some questions for all of you. We've been getting a lot of questions throughout the convention of, what is one thing that we can implement this week, right? There's a lot of information going and there's a lot of ideas. What is your best recommendation for our coaches starting Monday, like tomorrow? What can they do to make, improve something they're doing or implement some of the things that you're recommending? What would be your one piece of advice? Maybe we can start with you, Fernando.
I will say that I don't know what triggered this, but it was something I read not too long, well, about 4 years ago, when I was having a lot of time during the 2020 COVID thing. I asked my athletes, "Are you happy?" And that simple question, I ask them every single one when they come in. I have, when I do a fist bump, high five, look at them in the eye. If they're not looking at me in the eye, I say, "Look at me in the eye." But I do that every day. It takes time, but when you learn how to do it and they're expecting it, they will open up. And just from their body language, if they look away and try to step away from you, something's going on. And that has helped me a lot. That's just a little thing that I can implement every single day, even if I see them at the store. "Are you happy?" And if they don't answer, or well, what can make you happier? Swimming is the best therapy. Like, that's one little thing that works for me.
That's awesome.
Anyone else? How about you, Natalie?
I think same vein. It's just, maybe for some of us, it's walking on the deck and being really intentional with our eye contact with our athletes, and us, instead of just walking into our office and getting our stuff ready for training, we walk around the stretch circle and, just kind of joke around with the kids and let them know that we see them, and, how was your day? And, going through every single person with the things that we know that they like, or, some of them, you have a relationship with them where you can kind of tease them a little bit or joke around, and some are a little bit more serious. But as long as they feel seen and heard, I think that would be a fun exercise for any coach, starting this week, is just engage with your kids briefly. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just get to know them a little bit, make them feel seen, make them feel heard.
Awesome. Fernando?
Well, I think when you change your routine, like just a little bit, as all of you mentioned, like I wait. The first time I wait like 15-20 minutes after the training session, they were looking at me and say, "You are waiting for someone? What are you doing here?" "No, I'm waiting for someone of you if you want to sit and talk." and then it was like 3-4 days doing the same thing. And the fifth day, one of the athletes come and said, "Can I talk?" I said, "Please." And start to talk not about the training session, not about the swimming. It was about the family or the problems. I just trust you and I want to share this with someone. So please, this chair right here is for you. And I start to do that every single day. They realize that, oh, something it's changing in the environment and in the group. So it's funny when I had a big group of girls, they start to say, no, today the chair is mine. No, it's not your time. Today the chair is mine. So he cannot stay for 1 hour, so it's my time. So they start to make a schedule of using that chair. It's amazing. So the relationship grows, the confidence between us grow. It's a simple thing. I know that some coaches need to go from one job to another one, or maybe you have to do another class, or we know that we have busy schedules, but 15 minutes more and you look, they will ask you why you stay here until now. So it's pretty cool.
Fantastic. Dave, one closing.
I'll do two. Natalie, I do a poor dad joke of the day or two every day. And of the 800 kids that come on our pool deck every day, the majority of them come by to hear what the awful dad joke is. It builds that team bonding. It also makes them smile. And it's amazing how many good ones I get back from the kids. All right. But it's building that relationship. And the other piece of advice I give is the one that Doc Councilman gave to me when I was a very, very young rookie coach. And he put his arm around me and I almost wet my pants because I was so afraid of him. He said, take 30 minutes every day and learn something new about your sport. He goes, by the end of the year, you will have a PhD. And I've tried to live by that my entire life, is try to learn something new about my sport every day. You know, and I talked about my newsletter that I sent out that Fernando got every week, 10 items. And that came from my 30 minutes every day looking for something new about the sport. And sometimes it wasn't even about the sport. It was about the business of the sport. It was about the psychology of human beings, whatever it may be. But if you spend 30 minutes, which isn't very much time in our day, to just research, and we've got this great research tool right in front of us that has every bit of knowledge. And I don't think anyone's been to the end of it yet. So 30 minutes a day. Learn something new.
Fantastic. I'm grateful for everyone here for your time and your knowledge. And I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon at an aquatics facility or open water race, whether it's water polo, diving, artistic swimming, or pool racing. I wish you the best. And I'm so honored to have been part of this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Valerie, anything else?
Thank you so much. No, that was absolutely wonderful. What a treat. Thank you all so much. And I also want to encourage people, like things you heard here, like share resources, right? Where they were talking about kind of cross training across disciplines. How can we learn from each other, use the best resources? As you've seen throughout the convention, we have amazing partners with us, right? The best of the best in the world that can aid you. It's not just swimming, it's for absolutely every single discipline that can help grow your teams, your athletes, your coaches, your officials, your national federations even. We have professionals for that as well, advisors, consultants. So please make use of those resources. And I love this. Connect, share your newsletters, right? Get in touch with each other, learn about other teams too, right? Learn about what is working for them and fun things you can exchange. So thank you so much for such an enlightening conversation. We're so grateful for you all and for your efforts. And what an amazing underwater chats. So perfect. Thank you all.
Beautiful.
Now gonna go.
Oh, glorious day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for everyone listening, we're going into my keynote speech, which I'm really excited for. So if you want to tune in, I'll be talking all about social media and its impact on mental health and well-being in our athletes. So hopefully I'll see you there. Talk to you soon. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.